picked out as you know, our dates have been set for quite a while, but remember these dates can fluctuate depending on ice conditions. But the way the weather is shaping up, Colin Schultz and I are very excited because this is perfect lake ice making weather. We've got no snow, cold temperatures, so we should be good to go, barring unforeseen circumstances. But this is the best weather we've had in a long time for making ice. So our winter dry school is January 20th and 21st. The registration is open on Motorsports Reg. Been open for a while. Encourage all your family members and to sign up and also spread the word. We'll be doing a lot of promotional stuff to try and get it advertised better. And Kevin will be making up some nice posters that we can put on Facebook, and I'm not sure what else you plans for the ice race school.
We'll run the after today, start the ads and pushing it through, and just encourage people that if they're part of other groups in Facebook, just go to their main news page and click on the ice race ads and share them to whatever groups you're in, because you guys are probably your 40 group. And then just don't post two in the same group or whatever. That would keep it. It'll explode like that. Plus with the advertising.
The one thing we are doing, we actually have a promotion. We kind of set $2,000 a year for promotional work. Well, not majority. We're thinking about a third to half of that will be Facebook promotions, and that'll be our big push. Hopefully that'll start paying off and working out, and the rest will be on other promotional ways of getting the word out. So on the ice race school, I will be sending out an email asking for instructor commitment shortly. That we'll need instructors lined up for that. Again, we'll follow the same format. There'll be a Friday classroom session here, Saturday on the lake, and then the Sunday, which is January 22nd, will be the first ice race. Any questions on the driving school and ice race school? Okay. So right after that, we every 2 weeks we'll have ice races, February 4th and 5th, February 18th and 19th, and February 25th and 26th at Lac La Biche.
It was only a 1 week spread on the last two.
That's right. You're right. I just noticed that. Yeah, between our last race of boys and Lac La Biche is only 1 week, so don't wreck your car that week. Because you only have 1 week to get it ready.
Would we want to consider starting earlier if we're going to have ice? Because that's my understanding why we started so late in the season.
It's potentially possible. It would make you have to be a lot of rework. We've already submitted the permits and stuff. We have to change all those. But it's possible.
And just to give a week for alternate dates later in the season, might be worth considering.
Might be.
We used to start earlier years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if we used to have ice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we've kind of been bitten a bit in the last few years, so we were a little bit hesitant to do it earlier, like they've done it in the past, Landon. But this year is shaping up to be good, so we can maybe look at bumping that up. So we are planning on using Roy's Lake again by Stony Plain. Roy has graciously allowed us to use his lake again. And everything will be planned for there except for the last event, which will be at Lac La Biche again. Winter driving and ice race school cost has been kept the same at $150, so it's a hell of a deal. It's the best school pricing you'll get anywhere. It's a great deal. Any other questions before I start talking about ice racing itself? For people tonight. So, What I did, I wrote up the supplemental regulations and the classes based on where we finished. We had to get something down on paper. We had to get that submitted. So, although I published everything is not set in stone. It can be changed, and that's why we're having this meeting for the club members to speak up. But we have last year switched the Chevettes mid-season to running street studs in the handcuffs. It turned out very well. The Chevette drivers liked it. The rubber guys liked it. It turned out to be quite a good success. So we wrote the rules up this year to keep the street studs in the Chevette handcuff tires. What that does is allows us to run the Chevettes in two different classes, and that's why I created a new class called Chevette Street Stud. So last year it was kind of a hybrid solution where we ran the Chevettes with the rubber guys, the no-step guys. In hindsight, it caused a few issues, and there was no separate championship for those guys who ran with the rubber. So what I've done this year is create another class, which allows you to run one Chevette in two different classes. So the Chevettes will all still run together in a Chevette class with their studs. But then also, if there's two drivers on the car, it allows the second driver to enter the Chevette Street Stud class, which will be run with the rubber class, but it'll be its own separate championship. Or if a Chevette driver wanted to enter both championships, you'll have to, of course, put in an entry for the other class. He can qualify for two different championships. So it gives us a little bit of flexibility, keeps the Chevette guys engaged and allows them to run two drivers per class. I think it's a win-win for everybody because, and of course the Chevette's running with the rubber, as long as the rubber guys are conscious that the Chevettes are not running in their class, they're just running the same race with them, then I don't think it'll be a problem. But that's the current way I'm planning on running the Chevettes this year, and that's the way the schedule will be written up. Is there any discussion on that? John?
I would suggest you run a split grid for starting. That way there's no mixing on the start with people banging and crashing studded versus rubber, etc.
So the Chevette's in front?
Yeah, put Chevette's out, quarter of a lap, half a lap in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 or 3 laps later, they should be.
Why not just start them one in front of the other, but put the Chevettes behind or something?
Behind, I would say.
You think the Chevette's behind?
Yeah, we're slower at the beginning when the higher cars have power, they just drive away just like nothing. So if we're just right in the same clump but behind them.
Yeah, we've successfully run that split grid many times before. It works well. So
exactly, first Chevette after the last rover.
okay. Yeah, we usually maintain 100 feet or something.
So we can do a gap too. That's easy.
Okay. Any other discussion on how we're going to run the Chevettes?
The Chevettes are pretty normally not strung out.
Yeah, it's just like a normal race where it's
as far as scheduling goes, and that's the same as last year. Just the classes are split in that group.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a standing start for the Chevettes. It's a rolling start, but they'll just start behind the rubber class.
But it's still essentially 4 races.
Well, it depends.
Is there still a separate race for Chevettes on rubber tires, not studded tires?
No. The Chevettes will still be on studded. So
Chevettes are just studs. That's it.
That's right.
And then there's a rubber class.
There is a rubber class which a Chevette could run in if it had rubber tires.
Yeah.
So if a Chevette didn't want to run studs, there's still a class for them to run in, which is in the rubber class. I don't think they'll be very competitive, but it's an opportunity.
You lost me on that back. But I thought you said you could have shared drivers, but you only have one group of cars that the Chevettes are racing in.
Doesn't work.
There's one tire. There's one tire and 2 classes for Chevettes.
But I thought
but there's only one group.
There's only one race that you can run a Chevette.
There's a Chevette only race, and then there's the Chevette.
Yeah, okay. Everybody.
So how many races are there?
Okay. let's talk about a rough schedule.
Right.
That should sort it out.
That should sort it out. Okay, I didn't bring my rough schedule, but let me do it off the top of my head. So let's say the first race of the day will be a rubber and Chevette street stud race, which will be a split grid with the rubber starting first. The second race will be a neon and limited stud race. Then the third race will be a Chevette race.
Oh, I'm rubber.
No. Street stud.
Just call it Chevette.
Just that's why it's just called Chevette, but they're running with street studs.
Spec tire.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then depending on if we have other cars, which I'll talk about later, we may have a fourth race and then rotate again. So the Chevettes won't be running back to back. It gives them a chance to have a driver's change, allows them to fuel up, but in both races they're running in street studs.
In reality, we're just getting 2 Chevettes.
Yes.
So we're not actually running with the rubber guys anymore. So it's too bad that we're not racing against the rubber guys. But I guess it's too threatening with all that horsepower and studs.
Okay, so any more questions on the Chevettes right now? Again, this is just proposed.
So there is no Chevette rubber on its own.
No, but it's still called the Chevette, and it will be the same trophy as they have always got before. Okay?
Can I ask why you've just gone to studded for Chevette, and why there isn't rubber anymore?
Okay, let
Chevette drivers talk about that. So the issue was, we used to run with the full bolted tires, and we would chew up the ice really well, and then the rubber tires would smooth it out.
Yeah.
But without those guys running, the ice is too slick in the Chevettes, especially with no traction at all. It stays pretty polished all the time, so that's why, to my recollection, mid-season last year, we tried these street studs, and it brought it back up to the level.
It would make for more controllable racing, and it would not deteriorate or polish ice as fast as it does with, like, we have basically, 4 times as many rubber cars as we do studded or something like that. And we don't have those sessions, so I don't know.
Only 2 sessions of rubber only with the Chevettes and rubber running back to back. And then at the end of the second, at the start of the second session, yeah.
Now there is a caveat to all of this, and that's the availability of tires, studs, and if the Chevette drivers will want to still stud their tires. We tried to have some discussions with the Chevette drivers to ask them, and we've only had 2 replies. So it's all a little bit up in the air still, whether they still want to do that, the majority of them anyway, because everybody has to agree to run the street studs or not at all. So we're trying to get feedback from the rest of the group, but right now it hasn't been feedback forthcoming from any of the other drivers. We're making an assumption here that everybody still wants to run with the street studs in the Chevette class. Okay, the second class, which is the new one we introduced last year, which is the Miatas on Ice, which is a new class that we kind of sort of had 1 car in last year. I know that there's a second one coming out.
The first one's not around anymore.
Isn't it?
Made back in the street car for sale.
Too bad.
Which one?
Aaron? No, this is Aaron's car.
There was one that was, you said the ice rink last year, and made it back into a street car.
I don't think this one could go back to a street car.
No, this one's pretty far gone. So anyway, we're hoping to get at least 2. We're hoping to get at least 2 out. I've written the specs up to again make that a street stud tire, but theoretically it could be a rubber tire.
Not a rubber tire.
It's not.
They're not good rubber tires.
No, we noticed that right away with Aaron's car last year. It was not much fun. So we've written the spec up to include street stud on that with the same basic tire that the Chevettes run. So
They may want to reconsider another tire for durability. If we had problems with the Chevettes, might have been a bedding issue, but we had some people had problems with studs staying in. It would actually rip the carcass of the Hankook from the tire.
Double the power in the Miata will kill the tires way worse than the Chevette is already.
Yeah, so they may need a different solution.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Goals.
Okay,
Could be
so we'll carry on. The third class is what we call the no stud, which is rubber to ice. It's just not enough interest in it, and it's kind of unfortunately died out. If there is enough interest to bring it back, we'll definitely bring it back. But right now, it's kind of died a slow death. Okay, so fees for ice racing. We've kept the same fees again this year. So it's not changed. It's the same dollar amount. So if one driver wants to enter one class, it's $100 a day. Straight up. We're not going to use Motorsports Reg for registration. You just come out to the lake, give us your $100, make sure you filled out your registration form, make sure you signed the waiver, your race car's all good, you get teched, you can go racing. So there's no pre-registration for that, but we need to know the amount of numbers of cars coming out. 1 to 2 classes is $130. So in the case of the Neon driver wanting to enter the limited stud and the Neon, it's $130. For a Chevette driver to enter both to run, it's still only $130. Or if a rubber guy wants to change tires to street stud and create a street stud class, it's $130. It's a good deal. Only an extra $30.
The Chevette guy pays $130 to run with the rubber guys and with the Chevette guys. That's 2 separate groups.
Yeah. Yeah, hell of a deal.
Yeah.
There is an option there for 2 drivers, 1 class at $130. That's like if you want to make a team and want to share a car. Typically, you create a team name for that and call it that, not the driver's name. But there is an option for that. I was asked if there was a cut rate for 2 drivers, 2 classes. No. But I was asked the question.
You can't split that $130 on?
No, it's $100 per driver. So any questions on the pricing I've described? Or anything else I've described before we start getting into the nitty gritty? Well, everybody's an agreeable group to me. Yes?
Can I bring you back to driver safety?
Yeah.
In here?
Yeah. Are you going into subregs now?
Yeah, do you want to leave that till later?
I was going to go into subregs right away. Let me just see if there's any other questions, and then we'll delve into that. Any other questions in general? John?
I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm still not sure why you're doing the Chevette thing the way you are.
Okay.
And
Because there's guys in rubber that are worried that a Chevette might be too much stuff.
What do you have difficulty with?
well, I'm having difficulty understanding. Guys, I'm having difficulty understanding why we've created 2 identical classes for Chevettes that have the same tire stack, that run a Chevette Street Stud Championship and also run a Chevette Championship. When the cars are identical, the tires are identical, and you're going to have the same winner in both groups.
No, you won't have the same winner.
You're going to have the same group of winners. But the question becomes, what is the difference? You're giving the Chevette guys
standing start and rolling start. That's the only difference.
That's the only difference. The problem we ran into last year was it's unfair to run a street studded car in the rubber class because they potentially win. So then what do? Do you give them the rubber trophy? No. Do we give them, should they even run with them?
Last year was
not.
an exception trial, see if it works.
Yeah, it worked
They
well.
should not have been considered as a rubber car. They may have run with it, but as an exclusion, so no points type of thing. And if everybody knew that's what was happening.
The problem we got into was we didn't set the rules before we did it.
Yeah.
So we're setting the rules now to say that they will not collect rubber points. They run for their own separate championship in that race.
Right, but I still don't understand why you treated 2.
So you got 2 drivers.
You can have 2 drivers, 1 car. Because that's the way they've always done it before. They've always had 2 drivers for 1 car. One car ran in the rubber race and one car ran in the Chevette race.
One driver.
So the Quebec guys don't want to run rubber anymore?
No, they want to run seat studs.
I don't want to switch tires.
Okay. I'm not running Chevette, but
Without a
okay.
major change to schedule, there's no time to switch cars.
Yeah. So this is sort of a compromise. Well, it's not a compromise. I believe it's the best way for the Chevette drivers to get the best bang for their buck. I believe it helps the rubber guys. It keeps the track roughed up. It creates more interest, more involvement with drivers sharing cars. I just believe it's the best thing to do at this time until maybe next year it'll be different again. We'll have to see how this year works.
And 2 grids within rubber and Chevette.
Two green flags? Are we going to do 2 green flags?
I'm looking at this from the perspective of trying to line them up.
You line up all the rubber guys on the front in the pre-grid and then the Chevettes. And it's not an inverted field.
Okay, and is the other Chevette inverted?
The Chevette's not inverted?
I didn't say that. I said the Chevette street studs running with the rubber won't be inverted.
But we could if we wanted.
Just for argument's sake, I'm saying no right now because let's not confuse it. Then when the Chevettes run their race, they're inverted.
It makes no difference to me from a pre-residence perspective.
No.
Now, are we going to do 1 green flag or 2 green flags?
Split start.
Well, you could have a gap with 1 green flag.
Yeah, split start. Yeah.
Okay, so that's 1 green flag.
1 green flag. Split start.
Matt, you'll get your green flag.
Okay. Everybody clear now? No? May work, may not. We'll have to try it.
It'll be a work in progress. I think
Well, the
we'll be
reason
fine.
you mentioned is the valid one, is that we get that many more people out there doing it.
Exactly.
Because
That's,
Matt does not know yet.
yeah.
A reason to say.
If we said the Chevettes only have the 1 race, you're kicking a driver out of the series because he doesn't have another race to run it.
Or we just put him with the, if you want to run street studs, you have to have a Chevette.
Yeah.
In the rubber class.
We're running out of
Because really,
Chevettes.
the rubber cars are still quite on the
Generally speaking, yes. But the problem we ran into is we had a lot.
challenged.
There was a lot of challenges trying to figure out the race results to be fair at the end of the year. And the problem was because Chevettes finished in front of some rubber classes, some rubber cars. How do you score points? So this makes it nice and clean. Rubber cars out there, it scores rubber points. The Chevette street stud is out there, it scores Chevette street stud points.
So as
They
a,
shall not cross or mix.
so as a competitor running a Dodge whatever product, and I'm dicing with a neon, I'm not going to be able to easily identify whether he's on the rubber or studs.
If it's a neon, it's
It's a
not.
neon, he's on.
No,
Yeah.
racing with a Chevette.
You're rubber.
In rubber, you'll know that.
No,
You'll know that. You know all the guys who run
If
in
it's not,
rubber.
if it's not a Chevette, it'll be on rubber.
That's correct.
Only 3 or 4 guys on rubber anyway.
If he's racing door to door with a Chevette, if the Chevette's on studs, he will not be in points with the rubber guy.
Right.
And that makes a difference on your driver response, letting the guy through if he's a little bit quicker.
Well, the road racing, there's GT1, GT2, GT3, for the money race at the end of the year, so, if there needs to be car classes on the Chevettes, then we can do
It becomes a
it.
problem if you put the car classes on the car.
Yeah, which we should make sure there isn't.
Put the car class on the car. Put the, whether it's Chevette or rubber.
No stud in this.
Hey, man, are any Chevettes gonna run on Blizzaks in the rubber class?
No, Blizzaks are not allowed.
Oh, so
They are.
No,
They wanna run in
Oh, sorry, rubber, sorry, I'm
But is there anybody?
Well, I wanted to test some better tires for us because it looks like the I-Pikes we might struggle with. In all fairness, we all destroyed a bunch last year. When
Yeah.
the street stud rips out, it tears the tire.
Yeah.
You can't put a stud back in that hole. So
Rubber's too
we
soft.
are going to consume these things in short order, it looks like, and it looks like now there are no tires available. So we have to go to a more Yet again, another tire choice. So I was gonna do some experimenting in the rubber class with maybe a larger footprint. You know, a bigger 13-inch. We made a mistake on that last tire. We went with a skinny little tire. And we didn't realize there was another one available, or at the time maybe it was the available quantity. We chose the shitty little one instead of one that might have compared to a Blizzak.
Who's the lowest cost option too?
They were both the same, you know, there's two 13-inch, a wider one and a skinnier one. And there was, I think, 500 available of the wide one in the inventory at Canadian Tire and 1,600 of the skinny one. So we chose the skinny one thinking that they'd be around for a long time. Well, we just cleaned out the warehouse last winter. They wanted them gone. They sold them for $10 a tire. So we took all they had virtually. There was another 20 left this fall, and I'm not sure who ended up with them. But we are wrapping them with the stuff, so it's not a permanent solution for us by any means. The tires are still fantastic rubber tires after the stud rips out. So maybe we abandon the studs a year down the road, 2 years down the road, I don't know, and go back to the same tire with rubber. We're suffering the same fate you guys did with your studs, trying to figure out the best recipe.
But, you know, in worst case, we go back to rubber tire.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget, we were doing this as much as try and rough the ice up for everybody else that's running, as we are looking for a better Chevette solution that we're fine with rubber. Yeah. It's just some of the races were really long, and the last 3 laps of the race, 4 laps of the race, it's not even fun anymore. You're just burning fuel, trying to stay off the bank.
I was wondering, I need to buy a few more tires if I can't get any of the I-Pikes. What do you?
We may have to have a lottery.
Put all the tires in a pile and you draw it.
You know, we could do, I mean, we could leave the studs on the front and then run rubber in the back or something. Because it does, it helps a little bit.
Yeah.
We did that, we tried that, and it actually works quite well. It helps the turn in a bunch, the understeer. Or we could not hard on the tires.
Yeah, put it on the outside.
Question, has anybody checked all the inventories in all the Canadian Tires, or just the one?
It was the one in Leduc, Joe, that's my next door neighbor, he bought all the tires out of the warehouse.
Also,
He took everything.
and that's the only 6 left?
You know what, we could check the other provinces, but he cleaned out the Calgary, Alberta warehouse.
There's talk of some stores maybe having individual tires in the inventory on the computer system, whether or not they can find the tires. Like when I called and they had 6 left, they're like, well, I'm not even sure we can find them, but they did find them.
Well, what I'm hearing, if the spec tire is unavailable, you guys are going to have to talk to another tire.
Just like we did, we lost the Blizzak.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
We did warn people, so some people should have stocked up, but we know it's not an ideal.
Well, the guy shows up and doesn't have a spec tire, he won't be able to race unless he's got a plan.
Okay, well, that is left for the Chevette guys to check on tires. There is a group, Facebook group that started, an email went out to everybody saying, what's your status of tires, so on and so on, and that was where I commented that we hadn't had any feedback yet. So if there's any Chevette drivers here, I suggest they speak up on the Facebook group and reply to the email about tires, what you have in your inventory and what you have to run this year. And if there's no tires out there, they don't have a spec any tire. And the specs will be changed accordingly. But for right now, it's still written up with the same tires they ran last year, just with the street stuff. Okay, no more talk on Chevettes. For now. Good, Jim. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the supplemental regulations, and this is where...
Do you have another copy?
No, we have to share.
Okay. You wrote it, you know what's in there.
Yeah, but this is where Barry had a question, but I'll just highlight a couple of major things. So hopefully everybody's had a chance to read them. There are very few changes actually in the supplemental regulations from last year to this year, but every year we find something wrong that should be fixed. So I do encourage every competitor who is racing this year to read the supplemental regulations. If there's an error or something you don't understand, please speak up, because these are very important. These supplemental regulations run our racing series and are the rules for the series. So you have to abide by these and you have to understand them. So the major change for this year is just the addition of the Chevette Street Stud class, which we've talked about in depth, and the addition of the Street Studs to the Miata class, and the change in the spec to the Limited Stud class, and remove the reference of the Street Stud and Limited Stud class to make it very clear. Your Limited Stud is not Street Stud. So, and again, the Neon had changes to the studded star specification. We won't talk about this right now. We'll just talk about the regulations as they're written right now, and if there's anything that needs to be reviewed or talked about in regards to the regulations. So, Barry, you had a question.
Yes. Can you turn to driver safety, item number 4. Item number 4.
Seatbelts.
On seatbelts. It currently says that a minimum width of 3 inches to lap. I'm going to assume that most of the guys are using a hands device. Hands compliant belts or hybrid belts have a 2-inch neck down, and the current down the States, and I switched last year because of the recommendation. The recommendation is to have a 2-inch wide lap belt because it distributes the weight better across the point of your hip. So in road racing, I'm using a 2-inch lap belt, and that's FIA approved. So my question is, because they use the hands, you really do want that 2-inch belt coming over the lip of the hands. But you said a minimum of 3 inches. So any guy who shows up with a 2-inch lap belt.
Yeah. So you're suggesting that should be changed to a minimum width of 2 inches?
Yeah, minimum width of 2 inches.
Okay.
Does not WCMA have an ice race section where they talk about specific?
No.
They used to?
No.
Okay.
No.
Are we running separate safety rules from WCMA general?
Our supplemental regulations are in addition to the WCMA specification, regulations. So I would have to go back and review the WCMA regulations if they talk about the width. I think they do, and we may just have a bit of a conflict in there. So this
might be easier just
Don't they usually just allow you to run 2-inch shoulder part and the bottom half of the
That was my understanding.
That's what I've always understood.
But there's a bunch of data out, which took effect last year, that said, the data said that you're better off with a 2-inch lap belt because it distributes the weight better across your hip bones.
Yeah. Regardless, we have to go with the WCMA regulation if it's specified in there, and we're maybe just saying that in here. We'll have to check that.
Wouldn't that be easier just refer to WCMA?
Yeah, we'll have to check it. Yeah. Good point.
Maybe they're making a change to reflect this stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a change this year to allow the 2-inch shoulder belts, but the 3-inch on the lap remained for summer racing this past year. But it says it's funny. It says it must meet SFI something or FIA something, minimum 3-inch. So there's SFI and FIA that are 2-inch that meet these specs, but the regs always said minimum 3-inch lap belt.
Anything else that anybody wanted to talk about besides tires? I'm avoiding the tire question.
Just a quick question on safety as well. So I know that for the road racing next year, that I think is going to take place next year, fire suppression systems are going to be required. I just want to clarify, we're not going to change that.
No, I attended a WCMA meeting, AGM, and it was deferred again.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion on that. Again, it's still recommended, but it's not required. It was deferred.
No, I just want to clarify that it wasn't going to have an impact on ice racing in 2017.
No, no changes there.
Can we make sure the old rule on the Chevettes is restored, where you have to run at least one muffler in the car?
Yeah, I was going to bring that. It is in there. Yeah, Matt will look that up, and
I saw it. It's in here.
But that will be enforced again.
Yes, racing inside a car with no muffler on. It's just
Yeah.
brutal.
Last year it was
Yeah,
more.
that's bad too. Anywhere on the property.
Yeah, last year it was brought up by the tech inspector, and it was actually good that he brought it up again, and was trying to enforce it, but it was a little bit too late then, so that will go out, but we will be
It's always been there.
It's always been there, but it's hard to
Thought it
say
shouldn't be there.
when you show up without a muffler that day and say you can't race. So we will reinforce that with everybody, not just the Chevette drivers. I know anybody needs to. Yes, John.
I don't see in the local spec provision for the Rumsey bar, which is the support for the app.
Yeah.
To prevent the roof from collapsing in.
Yeah. I don't think it was ever written into any spec I've seen.
Highly recommended as.
It's a difference. Highly recommended.
Yeah, I think we should do.
You should want to write it in as highly recommended.
Yeah.
Okay.
From where to where?
Forward to back, so your roof doesn't collapse on you.
Diagonally from the driver's head across the outside of the passenger.
Either forward or so that your roof doesn't collapse on the driver.
It hurts.
Well, it doesn't.
It does.
Keep it the other way up.
Yeah.
I installed one in my car after it got rolled, and it's a lifesaver. Can be done.
My neck still hurts from.
Yeah.
With my car. Yeah, right there.
Which one was that?
Then the young.
Recommended 3. Nice race when you rolled it last year.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
I think it's 2 years ago.
My whole time flies.
I forget, I was hitting the head. It did a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the exhaust system is written into the regulations. It says each car must be fitted with a muffler to reduce the noise to a maximum decibel level of 90 decibels and 30 meters. It's there. Just need to enforce it. Maybe this is the year we enforce it hard.
Is the club still under the new leader?
You should have some.
I took mine off.
You can get one for your phone, iPhone.
Yeah, they're not that good.
They're not that good. It's amazing how well the steps work on that. Why doesn't the DD do that?
They give you lots of steps, anyway, whether it's good or not.
Yes.
The maximum weight was 26 feet from the uprights from the report. It's been maximum weight of 2,800 pounds. It's not even more.
Yeah, it's under vehicle eligibility, 2750. Second page, Ron. Page 2. Did you get page 2?
I think so.
Okay, anything else before we move on to tires? Because this is going to take the rest of the night. Okay, let's take a short 2-minute break. Hit the restroom up, and then we'll come back and talk about tires, studded tires.
Armrest over tires.
Hey, you want earmuffs?
So I'm hoping Gary comes up again.
Oh, okay.
He was down here.
Yeah.
No budget.
He's the reporter. He comes and takes pictures all day. And we were talking, Mark, this guy here, this Mitch, remember he came out last year and did an article on this and all that?
Oh, so, yeah.
From the reporter. I think it's important we maybe
Do that again.
come to school.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get him to school and give us a bit of.
I would like to.
The live stream's working. I just switched over to your. If you can set shop, because it automatically I couldn't connect my mine, but I had it up to my it's like 10 times faster than the phone that's like here.
Sure open? Yeah, and
So I
sure open?
Well, like I was streaming and like somebody somewhere here.
Yeah. They were talking exactly. there about
There's no
what other tires.
We're setting a lot of. Well, it's like Stevie. Yeah, and like. I don't know how this starts, but just yeah.
Yes, sir. Hey, Ben.
Oh, I always have.
Yeah, right after our break.
Yes,
Buzzing up. Sexual. Go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna come back from the recess.
I don't know.
Oh, you're going, yeah, that's right.
Even though the building is something like that. I actually went out last night. And we stopped even
And would that still be?
Yeah, we're gonna give the trophy out to whoever we had our runs for the year. So you're guaranteed a trophy for the other one. I just booked last week when you were.
My question is, would that be
Make it worse.
That's what I'm asking. What kind of changes?
Well, you need to run the
It's like it's like it's all these are like 50%.
Pretty much.
Pexiana is kind of just like every hour.
Smash up the piano
Well, right now it's
because they're running out.
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Just didn't. Some parts of it.
I like to have computers dedicated to that thing. I just simply have dedicated collections. That's my choice. Yes.
Sounds good.
You have to take it.
Oh, good, he's got a punch beer.
Do you have to have your own car?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be paid for.
Anyway.
As long as it's not a big SUV or truck, it's gonna be something that Okay, let's reconvene here a sec. Okay, come back.
Lock the door?
No, not yet. Okay, I had a couple of quick, good questions about the ice race school. I think everybody knows this, but just want to confirm. Everybody knows to go ice racing this year, you have to have taken a previous driving school and ice race school. So make that perfectly clear to everybody else out there who's looking to say, yeah, I want to come ice racing. You have to take the school. Okay, it's the best $150 you can do. Okay.
So if you have any previous racing experience, but not ice race?
You have a current license. Yeah, if you have a competition license, you're okay. But I'm talking about new competitors.
Right. Okay.
Bring any new competitor in who's never road raced, doesn't have a license, they have to take the ice race school before they can go ice racing. Okay? No exceptions. Yeah. Just kidding.
What about someone who's still running a jump car?
We've never had somebody ask that yet. Yeah, I think we'd have to do it on a case-by-case basis, and we'd have to confirm with WCMA, of course, on it, because the WCMA always handles the licensing. You don't need a competition license to go ice racing. You need a basic license, which is lower level than competition. In my mind, I would say yes, but we'd have to double check.
And in the past, we've also taken a rally license too.
Because of insurance and. Yep.
And like I had some guys who were interested, wanted to come take the school and possibly borrow a car to run, like say come and do mine in a Chevette or a rubber type race. They all still have to buy a WCMA membership and a club membership and all that to go race for a day.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. We don't have a way to accomplish that. Yeah, they need to be a member of a club, whichever club it may be. To get
makes it really expensive to do all that in one shot.
It does. It does.
Them to test the water.
Yeah, to test the water.
There's a racers package, isn't there?
There's a discount, but that's like $600. What Land is talking about is a guy to show up for a day. Yeah. Yeah. One housekeeping thing, and then
the beer at the back of the room. I used to bring beer to the meetings like I got my fingers wrapped. So Chateau Lee provides us with beer, but they charge us $6 a beer. So if anybody was wondering about the beer, what the story is, that's the story. It used to be free when I bought them, but we have to buy them from them, and they charge us $6. The only charge is what we drink, but they charge $6 each. That's it.
Okay. One last thing before we turn it over to tire discussion. We've had a gentleman asked to speak to us, so go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I think most of you know me. For those of you that don't know me, it's okay, I don't know you either. I'm Dave Sharp. I'm with the Edmonton Rally Club, which is the other WCMA sanctioned club in Edmonton. And I've been asked by members of the board of the Edmonton Rally Club to present a letter to the NASCC. So, to the president and board members of NASCC, dear president and board members, let me first start this letter by apologizing for the actions of Mr. Mike Thorne's actions at your AGM on 27th November 2016. Mr. Thorne was not in any way representing the Edmonton Rally Club as president nor its members. He was driving his own agenda at the time of the altercation. Edmonton Rally Club is embarrassed and does not condone the actions of Mr. Thorne. I have addressed the actions with him, and this will not happen again unless he is a paid member of the NASCC. Edmonton Rally Club has had a great relationship with the NASCC in the past, and I hope that the actions of this individual has not taken away from this. Going forward, I have directed Mr. Thorne not to attend any of your meetings unless he is a paid member of the NASCC. He will no longer be the point of contact of the Edmonton Rally Club, as I will take over this role until our AGM in February 2017. Once again, I apologize for the actions that took place at your AGM and hope you can find it in your hearts to continue to work with the Edmonton Rally Club going forward. Sincerely, Justin Bailiff, Vice President, Edmonton Rally Club. So I respectfully present that to the board.
Apology accepted. I'd like to speak to that a little bit. I was heavily involved with I don't know what the altercation is the right word or whatever you used to describe it, but me and Mr. Thorne had a pretty lively discussion after the AGM. And that was just I considered it to be a private discussion between me and Mr. Thorne. I didn't in any way think that that reflected on the ERC, and I don't see any rift or any problems in dealing with the ERC. So I just want to make you aware of that.
Jacob, those of us who didn't get to see it, what was it?
It was a lively discussion. It involved sex and travel, and that's about it. But in no way affected our relationship.
Good stuff.
I mean, between the clubs. It may have affected me and Mr. Thorne's relationship. But
I changed just by the second.
You're not going to lose any sleep over that.
No, it's all good.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to move on. So we've talked about the bulk of the supplemental regulations. Everybody agrees that everything's okay, but it looks like John has a question.
We should increase the weight limit to 3,000.
Okay.
That's where it traditionally was. I'm not sure when it was dropped to 2,900. Now it's 28 to change.
2750.
2750.
I'll make some inquiries on why it was changed, if it was 3,000. I'll go back in previous years and find out what year it was changed.
That may eliminate, because one, we can't enforce it unless there's weigh scales.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so let's make it.
Is there any?
How much is the neon?
Any car? Yeah.
Let's be up stock 2,500.
Stock neon is 2,500 pounds.
Yeah.
That's probably the heaviest car we're running.
Came about is one of the club members was coming out with a bigger car.
Jack Gondrak and a Camaro.
And it, of course, was quite a bit larger than one of the old smaller cars, which in contact the Camaro always won. So this is why this particular weight limit, wheelbase limit, and everything came about. And that was many moons ago.
Yeah. I wanted to start up my 76 Cadillac Eldorado. What's front wheel drive?
That's fine.
So you're saying it's too low, John? Or?
I think it looks like it's crawled down a little bit. I'm not sure one isn't enforceable, but it will eliminate any potential cars.
I've never had anybody say that it's limited them, but we haven't enforced it. We haven't weighed the cars either. Yes, sir.
I would assume that that's in your limitation on all-wheel drives.
I would believe so too.
Well, 3,000 would make it for them.
Yeah, so I think in that case, I would use the all-wheel drive class having a higher set limit. And that way it's going to be all cars comparable weights. You're not going to have.
Yeah, no, I'll check out the weight of a Subaru Impreza, and that's probably the typical car that's going to come out. So.
Mitsubishi, whatever that is.
Suburbans.
Mitsubishis are 38, 30. So big. I wouldn't race the brand new ones.
Okay, leave that with me. I'll check it. I'll check weights of some typical cars, especially all-wheel drive cars, and see if it needs to be adjusted. Okay, we want to get onto tires because I know everybody's dying to get onto tires, right? Okay.
No, I am.
All right, so we talked about the tire classes. Now, we've talked about, if you go to page 6 of the supplemental, it starts talking about tires and study, and this is the important part. So, all rubber to ice tires shall be DOT approved, so we all know that, and available at tire stores, so you can't go out and make your own tires. We talked about that. So I don't think there's much discussion needed on the no stud rubber to ice tire. So everybody's okay with that? The next one we talked about is just Chevette class. Now we talked in length about the two classes, but they're actually running the same tire. Now, we have talked about there's no grandfathering of the tire stock that was allowed before 2013, so it has to be a Hankook. Currently has to be a Hankook. The tire size is spec'd, and also the product number, and also the street studs are spec'd. Now, if we can't find if there are no Hankooks available in Edmonton, and there is a need for a tire change, the Chevette drivers will get back to us, but they should, irregardless, they should still use the 15 blue street studs, correct? Everybody's going to run 15 blue street studs, so at least the studs will be the same. Okay, and you may have to consider grandfathering in those Hankooks too, correct? Okay, so that's sort of the plan moving forward for those.
To grandfather what?
The Hankooks. Because if somebody's okay and they got a good supply of Hankooks, they can run them, even though there's a new spec type.
No, that's all there is. It's been that way for 3 years.
Yeah, but if somebody's got 6 good ones in their inventory,
16.
and they've got them, they
You
can
know
run
what
them.
we could do?
That's the only tire you can run right now.
Yeah.
Yes, but Mark just showed up and asked me if he builds a Chevette and can't get Hankooks, what's he gonna do?
You guys need to deal with that.
Right.
So you may have to come up with a new tire spec, but irregardless, the Hankooks are still good for this year.
Plus a possible second.
Gotcha.
Okay? Because you can't force somebody to buy new spec tires if they have Hankooks. Yes.
Under the supply, right?
Sell it to them.
Under the separate regs where it says tires can be fitted with the TSMI 15 blue street stud in the designated manufacturer's location.
Yes.
My question is, if the studs are being pulled or the blocks are being pulled, are the guys allowed to re-drill other blocks to put the studs on them?
There aren't any.
Wrong question. Wrong question.
Yeah.
Good thought.
Okay. Everybody okay with the Chevette class, and everybody understands? Okay. Miata class, currently, we don't have a lot, but the current plan was to run those with the Hankook I-Pikes. If there's anybody interested in running Miata, I would say bring whatever winter studdable tire you can find, and it'll be allowed. Okay, so let's open that up a little bit. I thought the Hankooks were easy to find still available, but it obviously did not. So.
Last year there was hundreds of them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, just a 155 13.
Well, there's
not very many out there.
there's like I talked with some people that deal with warehousing, and they're finding that a lot of manufacturers are just going away from 13. They're just not making them available like how they.
So because the Miatas are on 14 and 15 inch, you may still be able to find the Hankooks. I don't know. Okay.
The thing is, it'll be an unfair advantage if you allow them to have left tires, so we really need to work that out. I wonder if we shouldn't just do the studs on the front and go back to rubber on the back. Because the tires, the plain rubber ones, last forever on the back.
Mm-hmm.
We are just wrecking them with the drive tires.
Yeah.
We'll come back with a consensus.
Yeah, Miata, Chevette guys sort it out and come back. Okay, what we were recommending in the all-wheel drive class, which is the four-wheel drive, the studded rally tires that are 170 millimeters or wider. Okay, using studs that protrude no more than 7.5 millimeters and no more than 60 studs per foot. We're saying any aftermarket replacements or additions are not allowed, such as cold cutting. We're recommending the Black Rockets or Prime, previously Menard rally tires are recommended. Why we're recommending that is we have a current stock of rally tires of the Black Rockets. I think we have 12 in our inventory still that the club has purchased. They're available for $310.
The four-wheel drive tires are not allowed to run the bolted tires?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
No bolts allowed?
No bolts.
Oops. What if a guy wanted to run bolts?
Nope.
Well,
I think you already answered your
okay,
question.
let's take this another way. I'm just looking at the list on Subaru weights, and they're typically running 3,000 pounds, anywhere from a low of 27. So with a heavier car, like an all-wheel drive car, you're gonna rip the studs out worse than what the Neons did last year. It's gonna be a tire problem. As a beginner coming in, laying out $1,200 for 4 corners and 2 spares, after one race weekend, have them all shredded, is not gonna be.
Well, why we created this class is typically we thought there may be some crossover between rally car drivers coming to ice race, and they already have rally tires and are familiar with running them and the setup that the cars needed to make them last. I may be wrong, but that's the way we envision the class.
Is there an ERC representative like to talk to that 4-wheel drive class?
Can you run a studded tire in a Canadian rally?
You can, as long as it's in a jurisdiction that allows studded tires on the streets, because rallying you're going on public roads. Yeah, so rallies in Alberta allow them.
Yeah, and most provinces in the winter.
Yeah. What's that?
And most provinces in the Ontario, Quebec in the winter, and BC in the winter. There's some date restrictions.
Yeah, I just saw a thing, somebody put that on Facebook
Yeah,
just
it
the
was
other
on
day.
Facebook,
Every province now allows
Actually, allow
studded
studded tires during.
Yeah,
certain times.
Ontario's got dates when you
So
can
does
run
Quebec,
them.
so does a bunch of places. You see
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So how many rally guys are interested in ice racing?
We don't know.
To tell you the honest to God truth, I don't think you're going to see very many 4-wheel guys come out because they've got $80,000-$100,000 rally cars. They're not going to want to bash them up on the ice race track.
So
What?
Just by themselves.
It's actually up on the rally.
Yeah, they do a good enough job on their own. They don't need somebody else to help.
So let's not make the spec exclusive to rally type guys. Let's see if we can get some interest.
Okay, what kind of tire do you suggest they
Let's
run?
go allow them to have a rubber tire. Either the rally tire or a bolted tire.
Oh, don't
No,
you know how
don't give
dangerous
them
that
those.
would be a all-wheel drive car with that much horsepower and bolts? You're just looking to kill our first participant. If something goes wrong, it'll be a 6-time.
Well, I don't know. The Black Rockets are pretty fast.
Oh, I know they are. Just add 2 more driving wheels now.
And
I don't think
I would leave it on rubber and
on horsepower, yes.
You know, we drove that BMW 3 Series on rubber just to try it. It was ridiculously fast.
I ran my BMW all-wheel drive on rubber, and it's well not a spin top.
Might have had something to do.
Can I make a suggestion and maybe approach this like the Miata, since there are no all-wheel drive guys, which is show up with the car and you run whatever you brought, and let's get enough cars to make a class that can solve the problem. But right now, I don't see any reason to turn anybody away.
No, we're not
Since
turning
no one's showing up with all-wheel drive cars anyway. So.
Okay, I'll try and think of some appropriate wording to put there.
A Blizzak type tire is dirt cheap anyways, and we have to buy 4 of them.
Okay, now we're getting on to why everybody showed up. Right? Limited stud and neon class. Let me talk about what happened last year first. So that'll clear up a lot of confusion and clarification. We spent a considerable amount of time discussing what tire to run for limited stud last year. We decided to take a gamble and go out and buy a whole bunch of Black Rockets. We thought they were the solution. First 10 minutes, absolutely perfect. First race, fantastic. No complaints. Then we started to see, especially on the neons, especially on the front wheels, the outside part of the tire, the studs are starting to pull out, a little bit of degradation on the rubber, to a point of after one day, you'd lost a tenth of your studs. By the end of the second day, you probably lost half of your studs unless you rotated your tires. On the converse side, Mr. Honda over there running his Civic with 5 degrees of negative camber in the front, or maybe more,
Whatever it can go to.
Maximum camber on the front. Didn't experience any studs pulling out. His car is a lot lighter. He had a lot more negative camber. The restriction on the Neons and a lot of other cars, including Jed's, is you cannot get over 1.5 or 1 3/4 degrees of negative camber on the front. It's just not geometrically possible unless you start slotting all kinds of studs and making modifications. So the Black Rockets didn't work for all the Neons and Jed's car, but worked for Kevin's car. So that is why we're kind of taking an approach this year. Is if you got Black Rockets and they work for your car, go ahead and run them. We have an inventory still in stock, and they may work for other types of cars. But for the Neons, I personally spent more than the cost of a brand new ice racer on tires last year. I spent $2,500, I think it was, on Black Rockets. It's a huge expense, and you just can't do that again.
Why is a nice Chevette?
Yeah.
That's a nice Chevette. What's a nice Chevette? What's that, buy 2 or 3 Chevettes?
So for option 1, we're saying Black Rockets are good because they may work for a lot of good cars. They don't currently work for the Neons and probably a lot of other cars out there. If you can get a lot of negative camber in the front and you've got a light car, I think the Black Rockets are a great investment.
They also, I know we don't have any, they do make a slightly wider one too, but it's like we have to order them from Finland and stuff like that. But they make a 215, I think, and they make it in both 14 and 15 inch. So that's another option. If cars are heavier and they want to run that spec, it's a little too late to order now, but they do have a wider tire to use.
215s are going to have a hard time fitting them on a Neon.
Yeah.
So
What size are the ones in the inventory?
They're 185s. About 175s.
What diameter?
We've got mostly 14s and a few 15s.
6 13s.
Do we have any 13s?
No.
I didn't think so.
We only ordered 13s for jet cars. Those are 13s we were.
Yeah. So we have a good supply of 14s and some 15s.
And what are they worth together?
$310 each. That's a great option if you think you can make them work because they're good tires.
Yeah, the guys in Gimli, the
Compared to a
Honda.
bolted tire, like an old limited stuff.
We believe they're about a second slower per lap.
Okay, so they're actually less.
Marginally slower, 1 to 2 seconds slower.
Yeah, the guys in Gimli that race primarily Hondas find that they can get with 6 tires 2 seasons of racing, start to finish with them, as long as you rotate them
But
properly.
again, the key is they're all running Hondas.
Yeah, they all have fairly adjustable camber, quite a bit more than, like I said, for the Neons to not burn through the tires, they're going to have to find a way to slot things. And
Do we want to consider modifying the camera rule for Neon? I would like to.
For sure.
If it's affordable and
Doesn't cost anything, sure.
You're still only gonna have, you're gonna be living on your travel, you get your stuff.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you can buy, I know